Shakespeare has had one of the most illustrious careers of an author in history. After writing close to 40 different plays, his work continues to be highly regarded to this very day. As an author, Shakespeare was extremely versatile. His writing was not restricted to one single genre, but instead focused on multiple different ones. His primary focuses included comedies, histories, and romances. Students of all ages continue to study his work, from plays like Romeo and Juliet to Hamlet in countries all around the world. If you're not specifically familiar with Shakespeare from reading his writing, you have surely seen many things in current society that have been influenced due to his long lasting legacy. Over the years, there have been multiple sides to whether schools should continue to teach Shakespeare or switch things up with a more modern perspective, focusing on more current day content. Some argue that Shakespeare has become outdated and the school should no longer teach upon his plays. Rather than teaching writing that is hundreds of years old, they believe students should be learning about more modern literature. Others argue that Shakespeare teaches audiences lessons that modern literature is incapable of doing. Even though his work is hundreds of years old, it still teaches audiences about concepts that remain relevant to this day, like love and betrayal. In our English course, we read and analyzed one of Shakespeare's classics, Hamlet. The play has been taught within classrooms for centuries. In the play, Hamlet, the main protagonist, is the young prince of Denmark. His father passes away, and his mother almost immediately marries his suspicious uncle. One night, after having an encounter with a ghost that is believed to be his father, Hamlet seeks revenge on his uncle. Throughout his journey, the themes of tragedy and betrayal are often focused upon. I believe that Hamlet should be continued to be taught within classrooms and that Shakespeare should be emphasized in schools for the distant future. Hamlet teaches students the vital lessons that modern day text is not able to convey. After reading the play, I felt like my perspective on multiple different themes had changed. The way that Shakespeare had dealt with complex things like suicide and death had seemed a lot more critical than any modern day literature. In the play, after facing difficult situations in his life, including the death of his father and betrayal of his mother, Hamlet endures great pain that is indescribable. He was reflecting on his misfortune as he spoke one of the most famous lines in the English language: to be or not to be? That is the question. Hamlet questions whether to continue to live or to give up and commit suicide. This has become one of the most quoted phrases in history, with countless different TV shows, movies, and books featuring it. Hamlet deals with an extremely difficult question that is still relevant to this day, and is able to analyze it through the use of just 6 words. Shakespeare, as seen in the famous Hamlet quote, has a certain way with words. The way he is able to manipulate them is simply incomparable to any modern day literature. For example, a very popular TV series dealing with the complex theme of suicide is 13 Reasons Why. There's been controversy surrounding the show due to a portrayal of suicide and the way that it displays it to young viewers. Shakespeare is able to do it through a much better method. He does not directly reference suicide, but rather expects the reader to be able to inference it at times, resulting in the reader coming up with their own conclusions. Through the use of complex thinking, Shakespeare is able to teach student lessons the current day text is not able. Shakespeare constantly uses intricate words and sentence structures within his writing that can improve students' vocabulary and understanding. Shakespeare's work at first can seem like a foreign language, but after a bit of practice and further research, students are able to learn a lot from it. Throughout high school and higher levels of education, the complexity of the writing continues to be increased. By having experience working through Shakespeare's work, students can prepare themselves for what is to come in the future. For example, within Hamlet, a famous quote appears in the text when Hamlet questions his mother for her recent behavior. He says, "O shame, where is thy blush?" When Hamlet says this, at first it looks a little bit confusing, but after further analysis, it makes perfect sense. When Hamlet says this, he asks his mother why she shows no shame for marrying her former husband's brother after he died. A blush is often associated with feelings of embarrassment. Hamlet also uses the word shame, which is related with feelings of humiliation. When Hamlet asks this, he confronts his mother about not feeling any shame to her recent actions regarding the betrayal of his father. By analyzing what seems like Shakespeare's complicated lines, students are able to improve both their vocabulary and reading skills. By simply breaking up the passage word by word, the text instantly becomes more understandable and readers are able to make inferences and connections. For simply reading Shakespeare's work, students are able to push themselves and improve their vocabulary and literary understanding. Shakespeare's work has very heavily influenced modern day society and can be seen within multiple different forms of media, including movies, TV shows, and literature. A famous example of a movie influenced by one of Shakespeare's plays is The Lion King. The Lion King shares multiple similarities with Hamlet, including resemblances with characters and the plot. Simba, who is the Lion King, directly resembles Hamlet. They are both princes and the protagonists of their stories. In both cases, their uncles committed acts of murder and they exempt revenge on their uncles for their crimes. By having knowledge about Shakespeare and his work, greater understanding of modern work like The Lion King can be achieved. Many modern day authors take influence from Shakespeare due to his influence on the English language. The Lion King is not the only film that draws ideas from Shakespeare. Other movies like West Side Story, influenced by Romeo and Juliet, and She's the Man, influenced by Twelfth Night, also heavily resemble some of Shakespeare's plays. By having a greater understanding of Shakespeare, students are able to make greater connections with other modern day work, like famous movies and novels. Due to the arguments displayed throughout this TED Talk, students can greatly benefit from learning Shakespeare. By learning from a perspective that modern day literature is not able to display, increasing vocabulary/reading skills, and enhancing the ability to make connections, Shakespeare has numerous different benefits. By cutting Shakespeare out of the curriculum, students will be missing out on some of the most important literature the English language has to offer. The important skills that reading Hamlet taught me are well worth it, and I hope that Shakespeare will continue to be taught for decades to come.